Nintendo has always brought innovative and uniquely designed controllers to console gaming, especially the GameCube controller. With the unique design of the GameCube controller comes weird and uniquely designed third-party controllers such as the Yobo. Oh yes, the Yobo. Let's take a look at 5 different third-party GameCube controllers that I didn't know existed during the GameCube's lifespan. Let's get into it. Before we get into those 5 third-party GameCube controllers, including the beautiful Yobo, if you'd like to see more videos like this and VR reviews, smash that like button. Yobo. What a weird name for a controller, and a weird design to go along with that weird name. The design looks pretty similar to the official GameCube controller, except it has a cube design on the inner part of the controller. However, it feels pretty similar to holding the official controller because of the outer parts of the controller still being rounded. The D-pad, as you can see, are different on either two of them. There's a different design on the Yobo from this one. The B button is also different. It is rounded on the official GameCube controller and oval on this Yobo. The start and pause button is a square button on the Yobo and round on the official GameCube controller. Triggers are similar. There's an extra button on this Yobo, and that's the turbo button. As far as the left stick is concerned, this one's a little bit bigger. They kind of feel similar. It's a little heavier on the Yobo, and there is more of a ridge texture on the top, which I kind of like. I think it holds your thumb in place more, although the one on the GameCube controller is more subtle. The C stick is much smaller on the Yobo. I like the one on the GameCube controller more because it seems like your thumb fits more on this. This one seems a little smaller and it slips. Now, as far as the action buttons, they are a little stiff compared to the GameCube. There is a lot more of a play to this one. I don't think these are tactile switches. They might be. I think they're just a thicker membrane compared to the GameCube, as you can see. As far as the R and L, they feel pretty similar. I think they have a similar spring inside. During gameplay, I found the Yobo to perform pretty well. This Yobo controller is not as comfortable to play with as the official GameCube controller. I just think it's bulkier, and also right here, you can actually feel this. I don't want to say sharp edge because it's not sharp, but it definitely bulges out, and it's not as comfortable to wrap your fingers around the R and L triggers as it is on the GameCube. It just seems like your fingers conform to the L and R on the official GameCube controller. These triggers are definitely much smaller and closer to the edge. Seems like the whole part here just forms to your hand. It feels like your hands are like in this claw shape on there. Another thing that I found a little annoying is the button layout on the Yobo. As you can see, the B is an oval shape. It also is a ton closer to the A button. It's not as spread out as the GameCube controller. As you can see, when you're pressing the A here on the GameCube controller, it doesn't feel like you're going to accidentally hit the B, and when you're on B, it doesn't feel like you're going to accidentally hit the A. But as far as the Yobo controller, when you're hitting A, the side of your thumb here is definitely hitting B, and when you're on B, it's definitely tipping A. The Pelican G3 wireless. The only wireless out of the 5 controllers that I have. Could this be a replacement for the Wavebird? I guess, guys, here goes a alternative to the Wavebird. This is the one and only wireless controller I have out of the 5. Here goes the receiver. Taking a look at it, the design is a little bit different than the GameCube controller. You can see that most of the inputs or buttons on here are a little bit larger. The action buttons are pretty similar. I guess the X and Y are a little smaller on this wireless Pelican. The A button seems to be the same size, so does the B button. As you can see, the C stick, instead of being domed, is concaved, which I personally like. Your thumb actually fits in there and doesn't feel like it slips. And your D-pad is...
What you talking about, mister?
...is obviously, as you can see, bigger, which is nice for bigger thumbs. And you have your analog stick here, which is obviously larger. That one is domed. It's not ridged like the official GameCube controller. I don't know, it slightly kind of feels like the PlayStation thumbstick. And you have your R and L triggers back here, which those things extend really high. I'm not a big fan of those. And you have a Z. I don't know what a Z dot means. I'm guessing that might possibly be another turbo button. The plastic itself does feel cheaper. This does feel really light compared to the official GameCube controller. This does get a little heavier when you put batteries in, but not by much. So the plastic on here is far cheaper than your official counterpart. Now, I don't have a Wavebird to compare this to, which is unfortunate. They are going for a premium, where this thing I think cost me $25. As far as gameplay, this analog stick, especially in the menu, seems to either get stuck or slip. Guess it's got some sort of drift. I don't know if that's how this was shipped new from the factory, because I never owned one of these brand new. So if you had one of these brand new, let me know if this analog stick had a lot of drifting issues down in the comments below. Those triggers that I don't like, the R and L, they really don't bother me too much in game. Like, it doesn't feel weird or anything that they're that high because you're already holding the controller like this. It feels kind of natural. I mean, I will say, just like the Yobo, the official GameCube controller is way more comfortable during gameplay than this. That start button, which I forgot to bring up earlier, it's really flushed with the system, and I feel like I have to press it really hard just to get it to activate. The Gameshark Shark Pad Pro, believe it or not, from Mad Catz. I guess Mad Catz owned Gameshark? I know, it's not sealed anymore. I cut into it before I recorded the intro because I'm a... Well, here goes nothing. I really don't want to open this. I have 3 sealed controllers and I'd rather keep them all sealed, but for the sake of this video, I gotta open it. It says it has vibration feedback, rubber grips for improved handling, analog joysticks and shoulder buttons, 8-foot durable cord, macro programming. That's interesting. That looks like a Mad Catz controller. It looks exactly like the Mad Catz controllers that came out for the GameCube. Exact buttons, analog sticks, everything feels the same. Everybody hates on Mad Catz. I don't know, back in the day I was alright with them. I guess they weren't the most durable controllers in the world. I really love this C-stick. As you can see, it has a clear housing on it, so you can see the C-stick on the inside. I think that's kind of cool. I like the fact that this D-pad is a whole lot better than this little one for baby hands. Analog stick has this weird nipple on the middle part of it. I guess that's supposed to help with slipping. Mad Catz. This is a whole lot better for reducing slipping. All the controllers feel like they have tighter or tougher membranes than the official GameCube controller. The L and R feel like they scrape a lot on the inside of the housing. The spring definitely doesn't feel as durable as the one in the official GameCube controller. You have an M button, which I'm guessing that's the macro button. You got a Z and the L and R. You got a start and pause, and you have a macro button on the middle. That's going to be interesting to see how that works. I feel like it feels comfortable in the hands, just like the official GameCube controller, and the plastic feels pretty sturdy. During gameplay, for the most part, this controller feels really comfortable. This analog stick I really don't like. That nipple, I'm assuming, like I said, it's supposed to be for slip. I slipped a ton. The only time I ever felt like it might have gripped my fingers was when my thumb was like this, centered on that nipple, and then it would move with it, but it feels annoying to have that little nipple in the center of your thumb Whereas on the official GameCube, you have this grip that goes around the whole analog stick, and it feels like, yes, you can feel that center circle, but for the most part, there's other circles around it, so it feels, I guess I should say, leveled. Now that macro button, I really could not figure out how to work it.
Erroneous! Erroneous!
I would press it, it would light up, then I'd press this, and then it would start blinking. At some point I pressed some buttons, and it would do the combination of buttons, but not the ones that I clicked. The HipGear compact controller. It reminds me of all the Mad Cat controllers that came out, especially for the original Xbox. Break it into another sealed controller. Oh my God, it's got that nasty smell when electronic has failed. This might not even work. It is really small. Honestly, pressing that Z and macro button, because this has a macro button as well, that's really uncomfortable. I guess just the size of it and how small the handles are compared to the official GameCube controller makes this really annoying to hold. Your bottom fingers don't even grip it, so they're just hanging there or on top of your other fingers. That's uncomfortable. It does have this beautifully braided cable though. And on the back here, we have an off and on vibration. It has a turbo button, which are kind of annoying to press, a macro button, and the start button. The C stick is extremely tiny. That X is really close to the A button, so when I'm pressing this, I can actually feel the side of my thumb pressing the X. And when you're hitting B, your finger is definitely activating that A button. There's not a whole lot of feedback in that analog stick. It does have the same grippy texture on it that the official GameCube controller does. See, now the D-pad on the official GameCube controller is tiny, but you can actually feel the feedback of each press. It is lifted pretty high, so is this one. And it does have a concave design to it, so your thumb does fit in the center and can roll. I don't know, that membrane feels really weird, and even the top one feels like it presses all the way down to the housing. I don't like when buttons on controllers do that. The triggers are alright, but when you're pressing it, you do feel your finger here, your index finger, pushing on the housing pretty tight. That macro button during gameplay works exactly like the Mad Cat's, but for some reason I find this macro button to work a lot better. Pressing the macro button just like the Mad Cat's, it turns red. You hit the macro button, and then you gotta rapidly press the buttons. Holding the controller, I mean, it's okay. I don't want to completely knock this controller, but it is a little uncomfortable down here. Pressing this wasn't too bad as I thought. I mean, but like right here, your fingers not being able to grip the whole controller like you grip the official GameCube controller. On the back, it feels like all your fingers fit into the grooves back there, and you're holding the controller securely and comfortably. The Osmart, and that's where the name ends. Last but not least, I guess, and this controller really does not hurt me to open. It's got a turbo and slow. Some of these had turbo buttons, just like this HipGear one. I wasn't really able to use it. I don't really have a shooter, which is where that would be most useful. Shoot, I think I just cut into the controller. I could already feel that this is really lightweight, really cheap. Look at that analog stick.
I guess disgusting.
That's disgusting. And the C stick is huge. All the buttons on here are extremely big. I assume this controller was made for a freaking gorilla. You got turbo, slow, start. I mean, holding it's not too bad, but you do feel the bulkiness of it. Look at those trigger buttons. L and R are also huge. The Z button is big, slightly flushed. And if you press it down here, you're on the housing. Your thumb is hitting the A while hitting B. If you're just pressing A, it doesn't touch any of the other buttons, but if you're over here by X, if you're not leaning off to the side, you can definitely press A, and the same will happen with Y. D-pad's garbage. It's really mushy on this side. The turbo's slow, and start button's not that bad. During gameplay, it does feel really bulky. So I would imagine after a long period of time of playing that would get uncomfortable, but for the most part it's not that bad. And this nasty, ugly looking analog stick wasn't actually that bad. It does conform to your finger and it doesn't feel like it slips. The slow button, all that does is constantly press the start pause button. I don't know how that would be useful. Those R and L button, they don't feel too bad. Kind of similar to the ones in the GameCube. Well, we come to the end of the video. You got 5 different GameCube controllers, but the question still remains, are they a really good alternative to the official GameCube controller? And the answer is no. If I had to pick one out of the 5, it would definitely be the Yobo. It's similar in design and for the most part functions pretty similar to the original GameCube controller. It just has a uniquely weird squared off design. This whole time during this video, I did feel like I was missing something. Went on eBay and realized that I never got one of the controllers I ordered. There should have been 6 in this video. That was a month ago and it never got shipped. If you guys have any other weird GameCube controllers that you have in your collection, please go ahead and follow the link to the We Gaming group on Facebook. I tried to get people from the last video to head over there and post their weird GameCube controllers there, and it never happened. I'd like to start including your guys' opinions, your guys' collections in the future videos, and I'm trying, but I'm failing miserably to get you to do that. If you have any questions on any of the controllers in this video, please leave those in the comments down below. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, don't forget to smash that like button. And if you find the content that the We Deem channel is providing, I guess go click that subscribe button as well. I'll see you in the next one. Hey guys, instead of staring at my ugly mug, why don't you go ahead and check out one of our other videos? 1, 2, I'll wait. My busted face ain't going nowhere.